everyone, welcome back. My name's dustinkreis, and today we are going to do another game discussion. We're going to talk about this game right here. Fragile Dreams, Farewell Ruins of the Moon on the Wii, brought over to us by Xseed, of course. And I am actually very enamored with this game. I really enjoyed my time with it. It's by no means a perfect game, but I think the positives definitely outweigh the negatives, and I think everyone should at least give it a shot. Check out some screens. Check out some videos, see if it's something up your alley. Really a big sense of atmosphere in this game. And we'll get into that sort of when we talk about the storyline. But for all you people out there who are looking for something, this is the thing. Everyone complains about how the Wii has no games. I think the Wii has some of the best games that were brought out this generation. Some of the most interesting games. Of course, there's a ton of shovelware on it. But you come across a game like this. And this is why I love the Wii. It's got these sort of quirky, weird games that I really feel like the Wii in a couple years' time is going to be looked back upon like we look back on the Dreamcast. Everyone has these fond memories of the Dreamcast because it has all these crazy titles on it. And that's kind of what the Wii is this generation. And I'm so happy that we have the Wii because, when you see what's all in the PS3 and all in the Xbox 360, I don't really get excited for Xbox 360 and PS3 games. I don't. But whenever there's like a Wii game, I don't know, there's something about it that makes me excited because it's going to be a little off-kilter because it's on the Wii. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But this is definitely one of the more enjoyable games that I've played here recently. And it involves, the storyline is kind of actually a very sad and somber story. It's not filled with the big heroic moments. It's just kind of a boy's journey to find other people. Because the world that he lives on has been hit by this, you don't really know what it is, but most of humanity has died out. And he lives with this old man. And the old man, of course, dies eventually because he's an old man. And he leaves the boy a note saying there's other survivors out there. You need to find other people in order to live. Don't live alone. So the boy sets out and to find other people in this world. And everything's kind of fallen into decay. Talk a little bit more about that when we get to the graphics. But a very desolate and lonely world. And you meet other characters along the way, and it really is kind of interesting how when you meet these other characters, even though they might only be with you for a short period of time, because you're so alone in this world, you really kind of latch on to them. The writing is pretty good. It's your standard Japanese RPG that's been translated to English. There's some phrases that don't really sound correct. The way the characters talk is to match the Japanese voice acting, so they kind of phrase their sentences a little weird in places. But other than that, I found the storyline to be very nice. When it starts to it starts off in a very sort of, you're just searching the world around you, the towns around you and stuff. And then when it gets more into like the sort of traditional JRPG story thrust, it happens a little abruptly. And you never really get that sense of, I'm saving the world, you know what I mean? But for what it does correct, which is like just, kind of exploring what it would be like to explore a town after, this major cataclysmic event, it does that extremely well. And let's go ahead and get into the gameplay, because the storyline, I don't want to talk too much about the storyline, because if you want to experience it for the first time, I don't really want to, ruin it for you. But in the gameplay, it really kind of plays like a rough around the edges Zelda with leveling up, experience points, things like that. If you've played, the thing I think about, Ada's going crazy. The thing I think about is if you're a fan of like the Zelda games on the Wii, you should definitely look into this game because I really found it to be really kind of interesting. So what you do is you play it with the nunchuck and the Wiimote. And you use the nunchuck to run around, and you use your Wiimote to sort of point your flashlight around. Okay, now this is where things get a little bit, I don't really enjoy this that much, because it's Wii motion controls, not so precise. You control your flashlight to look around and things like that, but it also controls the camera. And when you get into battles, which happen in real time. You know, the enemies just pop up on the screen and you have to fight them right there. This can get a little tricky because you have to use the Wiimote to move the camera around. And these enemies aren't really that aggressive. They're not that fast. But I found myself getting stuck in place. And, you know, if the sensor bar, basically, if it loses track of the Wiimote, you don't have any control over your camera. So you're just kind of getting, you know, smacked around. It happened to me enough to where it's worth mentioning. But if you, once you get it down and realize that you have to kind of, you know, move it slow, you have to keep the cursor on the screen to move the camera, you know, you'll get used to it. Like I said, you know, it plays kind of like, you know, a traditional Zelda where you have to just kind of bash your enemies. The thing about this game is it is very heavy on resource management. You know, Seto, the main character, only has a limited number of items he can carry, so you really have to think about, you know, what weapons you want to bring with you. And the reason why you need to think about that is because they break. You'll just be running around, you know, smacking things with a golf club, and all of a sudden you get done fighting and it says your weapon broke. Now you can still use that weapon, it just does less damage and you can't combo hits together like you could if you had a fully functional weapon. You'll also have ranged attacks with like crossbows and things like that. I found them to be, in some cases they were very useful, in other cases not, because sometimes I'd be pointing the, you know, the cursor straight at an enemy and I'd fire and the arrow would like go, like it was something between the Wiimote and the sensor bar, like it would just shoot way off, you know, to the side. I don't know what that was, so I really didn't use ranged weapons all that much because I found them just to be a little bit too frustrating. There's also things like spears where you can charge up an attack with them and basically hit all the way around you. And then there's hammers and like axes and things like that, which are very strong, but they're very slow. So I never used those. I stuck to the green weapons, which are like swords, like a you know, a golf club, or eventually you'll get a katana. And these worked out very well because you can combo a 3-hit combo with them and deal your damage. However, they tend to break a lot easier than the other weapons. What else? Resource management. Like I said, you'll get consumables that will restore your health. You'll get different flashlights that do different things. It's really quite an intricate game. There's sort of a survival horror aspect to it, with you know, your weapons breaking and having to carry healing items. It kind of reminded me a lot of like the old Resident Evils, how you only had a certain number of space and you really had to think ahead. You carry a briefcase with you to sort of carry all your extra items, so you can carry as many weapons as you want. The thing is, they're in your briefcase, and you can only change out items from your briefcase at save points, which there are a lot of save points in this game, don't get me wrong, but you still have to think a little bit, because you'll find items, you'll find mystery items, things like that, and it takes up space in your inventory. Let's see, what else is there? I talked about the battle system, talked about the inventory system, talked about the controls. I think I might have covered everything gameplay-wise. Ouch! Duncan? Chewing on my finger. Anyway, monster variety, that's something that I didn't like. There's basically like 4 or 5 different types of monsters, and then they just kind of do palette swaps with them. So there's not a lot of variety in the monsters you fight, and eventually you'll figure out, you know, the patterns and things like that to beat them. But you know, the gameplay is just kind of an average playing game. Where the game really gets good is the atmosphere that surrounds you with like the graphics and things like that. Beautiful, beautiful graphics on the Wii. The entire time I was running around, I had my flashlight, I was looking at all these, like, you go through like dilapidated subways, you're in like a hospital at one point in time. You go through a deserted amusement park, and everything is just in, you know, ruins. And I kept coming back to this thought that it's like I'm playing a Silent Hill RPG. Now, don't take that to think that it's going to be scary like Silent Hill. It's more like a creepy atmosphere, because you're alone in these, you know, dark dungeon, or not dark dungeons, but like dark subways and things like that. And there's just this creepy, moody atmosphere to it that you just, I don't know, I always felt a little you know, unnerved walking around, but I knew that anything that popped up I could probably deal with. There was only a couple times that I died, and that was mainly because of the control issue, where I just could not move Seto around quick enough to deal with the enemies that were surrounding me. But yeah, the graphics are just gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous graphics. And I really liked how they, just the overwhelming creepiness. Because Seto was chasing after this girl he found named Ren. And she keeps leaving like these little crayon drawings all over the place. And then you also find messages from other people that, you know, have been left around. And then I totally forgot to talk about this. There's also things you find tokens or like memories that you can hear memories from people before like the fall. And it really reminded me of like Lost Odyssey with like the dreams and everything. Really adds a lot of atmosphere and mood to the game as well. Music. Finally, let's talk about the music. I'm really going to go online and see if I can find the soundtrack to this game because I love the music. Very, you know, somber, very quiet, but also at the same time very good. Really impressed with this game. Like I said, it's not a perfect game, but I think if you give it a shot, I think people will find out that there's really something to be found in this game. I really think that everyone should just go out and give it a shot. I know at one point in time that you are driving me nuts. You know that? I know one point in time that the game was actually kind of expensive to get, but I think the prices have dropped. I think you can get it on Xseed's website for like 20 bucks new. So I would definitely get it on Xseed's website if they still have it on there because you know, support Xseed and they get all the money. One other thing I want to talk about, Xseed, like they usually do, the inside of the cover has an alternative cover art. So I mean, I never do that because I don't want it getting all bent up and everything. But it's nice to have like a little bit of extra artwork in there. And then once you beat the game, you kind of unlock character galleries and just artwork galleries and things like that. So it's nice to see at the end as well. So like I said, guys, a very interesting, very enjoyable, very short game, 15 hours. So this is not going to set you back from getting through other games. And it's nice to play a short, you know, action RPG every now and then. But yeah, I'm really impressed with this game and really impressed with this, with the Wii in general. I think it's got a lot of great games on it if you can, you know, sift through all the shovelware and everything. So I would definitely, it comes highly recommended for me, guys. I think it's just a gorgeous game. Has a really kind of sad, you know, story that kind of makes you think about what it would be like to explore, the world around you after everyone went away. So hopefully this video was good. It had Duncan, you know, he just wants to play. So I think I'm gonna go do that now. But yeah, guys, definitely check out Fragile Dreams. Super impressed with this and highly recommend it. So that's all for me right now. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care. I'll see you next time.